Ready? Welcome to the Yoga Method. This is our second class in our series dedicated to our living gems. And sometimes our living gems are traveling gems. So, in this series, we focus on foundational movements for longevity. Sky knows all about that. She's already 13. And in these series, we focus on strength, balance, mobility, and functionality because these components really are essential to aging well and maintaining our mobility as we age gracefully. So when you're ready, I'm using just a few pieces of equipment today. You don't need to use any equipment, but we'll be using a band, a glute band if you have one. And I'm just using a light set of dumbbells. You could absolutely use soup cans, right, to begin with. So when you're ready to join me, us, we'll come up to standing. Do you mind shifting just for a little bit, puppy? And when the time is right for you, we'll be putting on the band just above the knee, and I'm going to leave it there for the duration of our session. And our first position, do you want to come off? Good girl, good girl. Dumbbells out of the way so they are not a tripping hazard. And we're coming into what us fellow Canadians like to call skaters, but we're taking a deep knee bend and we're keeping hips just shifted slightly back as we tilt forward through the pelvis. And just envisioning that you're ice skating forwards and backwards. So we're moving on a diagonal, and again, just making sure that you feel safe as you back up, that there's no tripping hazards in the way. And I think skating is one of the most perfect metaphors for life. When you skate, you do not travel forward by moving forward. You travel forwards by moving side to side, right? So just as you're sailing a ship, that little bit of traveling one direction and then the other is how we move forward through this journey and sometimes backwards. Let's just do one more of these forward little steps for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Targeting glute med and definitely an active balance movement pattern. So pausing for a moment, you're going to take a seat onto your chair, and with your light dumbbells, you'll lean your chest forward once you've established that your hips and your knees are in one line. So coming forward, and the weight start underneath your thighs. Your eye gaze is just between your big toes. And when you're ready, it's an inhalation to lift and an exhalation to slowly lower. So we are targeting rear deltoid, one of the most neglected muscles. And the secret to strengthening rear deltoid, the secret to strengthening any muscle, is we follow the lines of the muscle. The lines of the muscle tell us the function of a muscle. So rear deltoid, we need a horizontal movement. We can do it in many planes, but with the dumbbell, this is the position we really need to take to target it. 2 more, please. Exhaling, slow pause down. One more time before gently releasing. Please keep a hold of your dumbbells, taking your feet wide and wiggle your way to the front of your seat. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to perform a sit to stand. So you are simply standing and sitting repetitively. If you have dumbbells and you feel safe, you'll use them. But if you're struggling a little bit with that movement, you're welcome to use your hands on your thighs. This ability to sit to stand with no hands is one of the cornerstones to longevity, okay? So if you want to use the dumbbell, we'll perform a bicep curl at the same time. So we're pausing at the top and then slowly coming down. As we rise, we're checking that the knees are pushing out a little bit to keep tension in our bands. And that helps to engage glute med and glute min, which are the main stabilizers for the pelvis. Every time we hit the top of the movement, we want to really establish good posture. And every single repetition, that pause, we reset core and glutes before descending again. Let's do 4 more. Exhale on the up phase. Inhale to slowly lower. And you'll begin to notice that your knees will be super tempted to buckle inwards as you sit down. So keep pressing the knees wide as you descend and controlling the down phase rather than falling down. I think that was the last one. So please, when you're ready, just pop your weights where they are safely out of the way for you. And we're moving into what's called an inchworm. So I'm going to face the chair to begin with for a modified version of inchworm. So you'll bend your knees, you'll do a squat, you'll pop your hands onto your seat, you'll step your feet back, you'll step your feet in, and then you'll stand tall. So a little squat, and supporting you, shoulders over top of your wrists, walking in, standing tall. I'll just do one more like this. So this is just a really lovely modified version for our beginners if the floor is too far away to begin with. So second variation, we want to practice being able to get safely up and off the floor. So we bend the knees, we take the hands to the floor, we walk forward to a high plank. We're going to bend our knees, walk our hands back towards our feet. You can use your knees for support as you rise again. So a squat, hands descend. We walk forward, staying straight and strong. We shift the weight back, bending the knees, bend the knees. So you're in a squat position before you stand tall. We'll do 5 more. So this is a full body exercise. We're challenging so many wonderful muscle groups as we perform our inchworms. So shoulders stacked, bum is tight, belly strong, and then pressing ourselves back, knees squat, knees bend, rising tall. Last 3 as you are, shoulders over wrists, strong and straight from head to heel, bending the knees, walking yourself back carefully, standing tall. One more time, a little walk out, a little pause at the end before bending the knees, walking back, standing tall, standing proud, and releasing. Please pick up one dumbbell. And we're moving into our balance. I would recommend holding the back of your chair. I'm just not going to spin mine around, or a wall for support as we begin these things. You're working through balance, and balance requires a deliberate gripping with the feet to maintain the arch of the foot, engaging your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes, and your core. You'll stand on your right leg, you'll pick up your left, and this tension helps to strengthen our hip flexor, which is also part of our core. So then adding a dumbbell bicep curl for variation 1 and variation 2, the ability to reach overhead to get things off the top shelf is really a movement we want to be able to maintain. So if this is too much, you're going to ground the toe. If that's too much, pressing overhead, you'll move back to your bicep curl. But there's 5 more. For 4, rechecking core, rechecking standing leg strength. One more time before gently releasing and coming to the other side. So pretending that I'm holding onto a chair or a wall, I'm gripping with the 4 corners of my left foot. There's a micro bend in the knee, quadriceps, hamstrings working together. And then once we find our balance, toe can stay on the floor or toe elevated. Exhale to push, inhale to return. So our shoulders are level, our pelvis is level, and sometimes it's essential to use a mirror for feedback to begin with, because we think we're level, and then we look in the mirror and we're leaning. So 5 more remaining. Touching the floor as many times as you need to reclaim your center. Resetting pelvic floor and the abdominal wall for 2. One more time, please. And release, taking that dumbbell all the way down. Our last one in this sequence, and then we'll begin again, is to come into a planking position. So easier to plank on something that's elevated, but your variation 2 is to come to the floor. Our shoulders are stacking over our elbows. We're pressing down and thinking angry cat between our shoulder blades. We're charging the legs energetically to bring stability there as well. So option 1, we take the position for 2 to 5 to 10 seconds, and then we take a little break. Variation 2, we're going to hold this position statically, and we're going to just take alternating toe taps out to the side. Once we've established that our shoulders are over our elbows, we're pressing into our elbows to create that angry cat shape between our shoulder blades. And then through the lower limb, an alternating toe tap, just to challenge our brains, as well as our glute med and glute min again. Let's do 4 more, last 4. 3, it's a little bit like dancing. 2, and 1. Once you've done, you'll walk your feet in first, bend your knees to safely rise tall, giving anything a little shake out that needs a reprieve before coming back to our very first movement pattern. So our skaters, we bend the knees, we engage the core. There's a slight tilt forward, like you're in a ready position. Any sport, ready position is a little bit forward center of mass. And then when you're ready, 4 little diagonal steps forwards. And then returning again. If you've got more space, you could go further forward, further backwards. You could do a 2-step each direction. So really, honestly, you're just playing with movement. We want to bring this sense of play. We want to feel how the body delights every time we place a little bit of demand on it. And the body is always willing. It doesn't matter the age. We are able to absolutely improve our balance, our strength, our mobility, our functionality. Let's take that last little 4-step back. 3, 2, and 1 before shaking anything that needs a reprieve and coming into a seated position, please. So rear deltoid is where we're heading. We'll give the legs a little breather and use the upper body instead. So wiggling forward, ground firmly into your feet. Check your hips and your knees are aligned, and your knees are creating that little tension between the band. We drop the torso forward, but we're not rounding. We're hinging from the hips to maintain a really beautiful long spinal position. And our eye gaze is just in front of our feet. So again, don't let your head hang. When the time is right for you, we're lifting out to the side and then slowly descending. So rear deltoid compared to your bicep, this will feel much more challenging. So you might need to begin with a lighter weight than you're using on your bicep curl or your shoulder press. Or you might just use a band, or maybe just the movement pattern itself to begin with no weight at all. Exhale to lift. Inhale to slowly control. Last 2, please. And one more time. We're ready, set, pause, hold, before gently, slowly releasing. Keeping your band and keeping your dumbbells. That option of doing a sit to stand with or without weights. So option 1, if you're struggling to get off your chair, that's okay. You can improve this, absolutely. You'll use your hands on your knees for support. Variation 2, you'll just do the sit to stand. And variation 3, we're adding that bicep curl at the same time. So drive through the feet, energize the legs, the core, the glutes before slowly descending. And what you'll find is that bottom inch, most people kind of fall. So I want you to really concentrate on maintaining that connection and how lightly can you land through your hips as you find your chair. Exhaling to rise, inhaling to descend. Let's do one more. I think we've done some extras. Rising up before gently, slowly releasing down. Your new favorite exercise, your inchworm, is next. So remembering we can do a modified inchworm facing chair. But if we're moving to the floor, which is something we absolutely want to be able to do, so bending the knees, reaching for the floor, walking forward. So kids are naturally floor dwellers, right? They're constantly up and down all day, every day. And then as we age, we become so much more sophisticated. We never sit on the floor, sadly. We sit in chairs all day, every day. And we lose the ability over time to get to the floor. And then as we age, heaven forbid we ever have a fall, we might not actually be able to get up off the floor because we haven't practiced this movement pattern. So here's a really simple way. Oh, I think that's a horsefly. Hopefully he leaves Sky and I alone as we do our last 2 inchworms. So as you descend, keep pressing your knees wide. As you shift forward, stack shoulders over wrists, bum strong, belly strong. And there's one more place. Bending the knees, walking forward, shifting, pausing before heading back. And remembering your variation here was to hold the chair, to step back, to step in, to stand tall. Hold the chair, step back, step in, and stand tall. Moving into your balance exercise. Remember, hand on the wall. So if I'm standing on my right leg, I'm holding onto the chair or the wall with my right hand. I can keep my left toe on the floor, or I can elevate it, and I have the option to touch down as many times as I need. So grip with the 4 corners of your right foot. Engage all of the muscles in your right leg, your glutes, and your core. And then when you're ready, holding the knee up or not, either moving hand to shoulder or hand to ceiling. And if you want to really challenge your balance, you just keep lifting your hand, and then you can catch yourself if you've got the wobbles. And we should have the wobbles, right? Technically, to challenge our balance requires that we embrace the wobbles. There's 4 more, I believe. Exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. One more time, before gently releasing to the other side. My imaginary wall, my imaginary chair. So gripping with the 4 corners of the left foot, maintaining the arch of the foot, a little softness in the knees, and find the strength in your leg before picking up or not, before reaching for the ceiling or not. So feeling all of those amazing muscles in your feet, your ankle, trying to create that stability. Remembering that walking is a balance exercise. There's a phase in our gait pattern where we're technically on one leg. So balance is critical to walking. Last 2. Steady eyes, steady body. One more. And release. Our last one is our plank. Remembering to simplify the plank. To make it a little bit more accessible, we interlace our fingers, ground our elbows, step back. Even if you're just there for a moment, that is absolutely a plank, and you're strengthening your shoulders and your core. Variation 2, we're going to hold longer in this shape. And variation 3, we're doing our little toe taps. If you feel like you need a little bit more, your variation 4, you're taking the same shape on the floor. I'm just a little bit pressed for space, so I'll see how I go. So once I've established shoulders and elbows stacking, angry cat between my shoulder blades, eye gaze just beyond my fingertips, I then can include a little bit of side-to-side movement with my legs to challenge my balance, my core strength, and develop a little bit more glute med strength. Last 4. Last 3. Woo, 2 to go. One more each direction. And relax. When the time is right for you, we'll come up out of that position we chose before taking a seat momentarily and reconnecting with our breath. So we're going to let go of that standing sequence and finish our class with core and hip stability exercises. So 3 exercises times 2 to finish our session. And then I'd love for you to take time to stretch, to cool down. There's lots of great restorative yoga classes on our channel as well. So I'm going to get rid of my chair and just pop it here. And you'll join me on the floor when the time is right for you. So we're going to leave the band on just to continue to strengthen a little bit more intentionally. We're starting with a single leg lift. So to begin with any abdominal exercise, we find shoulder blades relaxed, chin is in. We deliberately engage pelvic floor and draw the navel gently in. And then on our inhalation, we lift the left knee, and on the exhalation, we lower. So this is really a level 1 exercise. I've got my hands on the floor. I've got one foot on the floor, and I'm just lifting as far as my lower back will allow. So the telltale signs that we're looking for in any core exercise is that we can keep the abdominal wall drawn in. And as I pick up my leg, there's no pushing out and there's no changes in my lower back. So how steady and stable can I keep my pelvis? And how steady and stable can I keep my lumbar spine, my core, my lower back? Let's just do 2 more, please. Inhale up, exhaling down. Inhale up and exhaling down. Moving into our bridging position. I'll invite you to touch your heels to make sure your feet are equal and check that your hips and knees are in one line. You'll peel your way up to the top of the shape. And once you've arrived here safely, you're just opening through the knees on your in-breath and exhaling to gently return. So just a little bit of external rotation through the knees while maintaining the stability and the height through the pelvis. And where I'm hoping you feel this as you open the knees a little bit is on the outside of the hip. And the action of lifting or extending the hips should be felt in glute max, more in the back of the pelvis. Your hamstrings are absolutely working as well. And our core is always supporting our lower back. Last 4. Last 3, as you are, is your hip still at the same level? Is one side lower than the other? One more repetition, opening, before gently easing your way down, 1 vertebra at a time. Final exercise before we start again. We're picking up that left knee once more, but the left hand is coming to the left knee. We're taking a breath in to prepare. And on our exhalation, we're lengthening through the arm and through the leg. Inhale to return. Exhaling to lengthen. Again, a little brain training as well as core and pelvis stability training. So we exhale as we lengthen away from the midline, and we inhale to return to reset, reconnect. Last 5. You got it. Last 4. Exhale. Reset, reconnect. No changes through the abdominal wall. No changes through the lower back. Last 2. You got it. One more time. Exhale, pause, lengthen, and hold before gently returning here. Second side when you're ready. So checking hip and knee alignment, shoulders are relaxed. Then it's just an inhale to lift and an exhale to lower. So this is the lowest level, level 1. And this is where we all begin, right? Just kind of getting this feel for what's happening through my abdominals as I lift my leg and lower. And using your hand on your core and perhaps using the other hand underneath your lower back will give you that tangible feedback that perhaps you need to begin with. So if every time I lift my leg, my belly pushes out, I know that I'm not maintaining stability. There's just 2 more of these. 1 more, please. Beautifully done. Grounding through the feet, touch your heels, make sure you're equal and even before peeling the pelvis up. And then it's an inhale to open and an exhale to close. So hands on your pelvis, absolutely once again, gives you that immediate feedback. Are my hips level or am I collapsing through one side? As I open my knees, do I drop my bum down or am I able to maintain that lift at the same time? Working with your breath, constantly reestablish the connection to your core. Last 2. 1 more, please. Before we gently ease our way down, and once we've safely landed, right hand, right knee, inhale, prepare. Exhaling to lower and lengthen. Inhale to come home. So every time we lengthen, there's the temptation to arch the back, but we're not going to let that happen. We're gritty, we're determined, we're focused, we're dedicated, we're devoted, we're humble, and we're hardworking, right? The secrets to success, humility, and hard work. Last three as you are. So an exhale to lengthen. And inhale to return. Last two. How long, how straight, how strong can we make the body before returning? No compromising. It doesn't matter how far we go, we want to maintain this and then releasing everything to the earth, please. So as we come into second round, we're moving into, oh, there was a horsefly. He's gone. Hopefully he stays away. Variation 2 is shins parallel to the ceiling. So variation 1, again, we're just going to do an alternating knee lift this second round. So feet start on the floor, and it's an inhale to lift the knee and an exhale to lower. Variation 2, you'll start with your shins parallel to the ceiling and just feel what's happening through the core. Exhale to lower, inhale to return. So you're going to choose the right level for you based on what you're feeling through your lower back and through the abdominal wall. So it's very common for the muscle to bulge out when we pick up the legs because the legs are heavy. And if you're feeling that you can't keep the belly drawn down, then you need to bring your feet back to the floor and just lift one knee at a time rather than working with both feet off the floor. Either option is perfect. It's just meeting your body where it is today. So exhale to lower, inhale to return. Last two, please. One more time before releasing everything down to the earth. When the time is right for you, find your heels, lift through your hips, please. And then this last set of external rotations through the knees, which is technically through the hips, pardon me, and then returning back to the midline. So feel the squeeze of glute max, feel the work through your hamstrings, the connection to the four corners of your feet, and maybe using your hands on your pelvis to ensure everything is staying stable and level. You'll even be able to feel those muscles if you use your thumbs just on the outside of your hips. Last four, gently return. Last three, gently return. Two to go. One more time before peeling ourselves down through the upper back, middle back, lower back, and tailbone. Final exercise. So option 1, you're going to return back to this movement of single arm, single leg. Variation 2, you'll start with both legs elevated and both hands resting on the outside of your knee. Draw the navel down, make sure your back feels safe and stable. It's an inhale to prepare, and then on your exhalation, left arm, left leg, move away from the midline. Inhale to return. Alternating. Exhale, right arm, right leg. Gently return. Reset chin, shoulders. Exhale to lengthen any amount. Inhale, return, reset. So it doesn't matter how long we reach away from the midline. What we're keying into is what is happening through the abdominals and my lower back. Never sacrificing technique for what we envision to be a more challenging position. The challenge comes from the inside. How strongly can you connect to your inner world, your inner interior, working from the inside out rather than the outside in. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale to return. There's one more left on each side. Exhale, lengthen. Inhale to return. One more lucky last one. Exhale long and strong before gently returning, hugging the knees to the chest and taking a gentle rock, please. That is it for our session. I encourage you please to take time to cool down, to stretch, or to do a little bit of restorative yoga. Thank you so much for your time, your effort, and your energy. Namaste.